The girl's feet left crimson trails in the snow, blood bright against white. Small footprints, each one a testament to desperation. The December wind tore through Laramie County, Wyoming, carrying with it the weight of a winter that promised no mercy. And there, stumbling through drifts that reached her knees, was a child who should have frozen hours ago. 8 years old, bare feet, a dress so thin it might as well have been made of hope alone. The camera pulls back. The vastness of the frontier swallows her. Mountains rise like broken teeth against a sky the color of old steel. She falls, gets up, falls again. This time she stays down. Her breath comes in shallow gasps. Frost clings to her eyelashes. She looks up at the empty trail ahead and whispers something to the wind. Please. Cut to black. Then light floods in. Not snow, not wilderness. A courtroom. Laramie County Courthouse 2 days later. The same girl sits in a witness chair, her feet now bandaged, her eyes now filled with something harder than fear. Determination, maybe. Or the kind of courage that only comes from having nothing left to lose. A man in a black suit leans forward. His voice is gentle, but the question cuts deep. Emma, why do you want to stay with Mr. Brennan? The girl's hands grip the wooden armrests. Her knuckles turn white. Around her, the courtroom holds its breath. 60 people packed into benches meant for 40, all of them waiting for the answer that will decide whether a stranger can become a father, whether love can matter more than law. Emma's voice, when it comes, is steady, stronger than anyone expected. Because he's the only one who didn't right away. Cut to black again. White text appears on screen 48 hours earlier. The story really begins with a man who had given up on stopping. Cole Brennan rode into that December afternoon like a man who had long since made peace with emptiness. 35 years old, but the lines around his eyes told a story twice that age. His horse, a red roan gelding named Rust, picked its way through snow that had been falling since dawn. Behind them, the town of Cheyenne grew smaller with each mile. Ahead, nothing but more of the same. More trail, more cold, more distance between Cole and the ghosts he could never quite outrun. He had learned over 4 years of drifting that movement was easier than memory, that as long as he kept riding, the past stayed where it belonged. Behind him, out of reach, almost forgotten, almost. The wind shifted, carrying with it a sound that made his hand move instinctively to the Colt revolver at his hip. Not a threat. Worse. A cry, high-pitched, desperate. The sound of someone whose voice had already broken from screaming and was now down to the raw animal noise of pure terror. A child. Cole's jaw tightened. Every instinct he had spent 4 years cultivating told him to keep riding. Children meant families. Families meant complications. Complications meant staying, and staying meant remembering. And remembering meant feeling things he had locked away in a place so deep he sometimes forgot they existed at all. He touched his heels to Rust's flanks. The horse moved forward. But Cole's hands, those hands that had held a dying wife and a stillborn daughter, those hands that had buried both of them in Colorado soil 4 years ago, those hands would not cooperate. They pulled the reins. Rust stopped. The crying continued, coming from somewhere beyond a ridge of snow-covered pines. Not my problem, Cole said aloud. His voice sounded strange in the empty wilderness, like it belonged to someone else, someone who believed the words. The crying intensified, then stopped. And in that silence, Cole heard something worse. The silence of someone who had given up, who had screamed until there was nothing left but the cold and the dark and the certainty that no help was coming. He swung down from the saddle. His boots crunched through snow that reached past his ankles. He moved toward the sound, or where the sound had been, his hand still resting on his gun. Not because he expected danger, because it was easier to touch something solid than to acknowledge what he was doing, what he was about to do. The ridge gave way to a small clearing, and there she was, the girl from the courtroom, the girl with the bloody feet. But here now, she was something else entirely. She was every nightmare a father could have, small, vulnerable, already half frozen. Her dress was torn. Her arms were wrapped around herself in a futile attempt to hold in warmth that had already fled. Her eyes, when they found his, held the kind of hope that breaks hearts. "Mister," she whispered, "please." Cole stood there, caught between two versions of himself. The man who had been and the man he had become. Deputy Sheriff Cole Brennan of Boulder County, Colorado, who believed in duty and justice and protecting the innocent, and Cole Brennan, the drifter, who believed in nothing except the next town and the next job and the absolute necessity of not caring about anything too much. The girl took a step toward him. Her foot left a red print in the snow. She stumbled. Cole moved without thinking. He caught her before she hit the ground. She weighed nothing, just bones and determination, and cold, so much cold that touching her sent a shock through his system. "Easy," he said. The word came out rougher than he intended. "Easy now. I got you. You won't leave." Her voice shook. "Not from cold alone. You won't ride away like the others." "Others? Mrs. Sterling at the church, Dr. Holloway in town, the Blackwood Ranch, Mr. Morrison at the store." She counted them on fingers that had lost most of their feeling. They all said no. They all said we're not their problem. They all said someone else would help. But no one did. You're here. Cole looked down at this child, this stranger, this complication he had tried so hard to avoid. He saw his daughter, the one he never got to meet, the one who died before she could take a single breath. She would have been about this age now, 8, maybe 9. Would she have had the same fierce light in her eyes, the same stubborn refusal to quit, even when every rational part of her should have given up hours ago? "Where's your family?" he asked. "Home, 3 miles west. Our cabin in Bear Hollow." Emma's teeth chattered hard enough to make the words almost unintelligible. "Mama's sick, real sick. Been 5 days now. Started with fever, then the shakes. Yesterday she stopped knowing who I was. This morning she won't wake up right. And your father? Dead. March of this year. Horse kicked him in the head." Cole closed his eyes, opened them. The girl was still there, still shivering, still bleeding, still looking at him like he was salvation itself. "What's your name?" "Emma. Emma Louise Walker." "All right, Emma Louise Walker." He shrugged out of his coat heavy wool that smelled of horses and leather and 4 years of wandering. He wrapped it around her shoulders. It swallowed her whole. "We're going to get you warm. Then we're going to go find your mama. You promise?" The word hit him harder than it should have. Promise. Such a simple thing. Such an impossible thing. He had promised Sarah he would be there when the baby came. He had promised her everything would be all right. He had promised, and he had been wrong, and she had died anyway. Died calling his name while he was 30 miles away chasing a man who did not matter, who would never matter as much as the woman bleeding out in their bed. "Yeah," he said. "I promise." The relief that flooded Emma's face was almost painful to watch. She believed him, trusted him immediately and completely, the way only a child who has run out of options can trust. It was the kind of faith that could save a life or break a heart. Cole suspected it might do both. He lifted her onto Rust's saddle. The horse, used to carrying saddlebags and supplies, barely shifted at the weight of a child. Cole swung up behind her. Emma leaned back against his chest, seeking warmth, seeking safety. After a moment's hesitation, he wrapped one arm around her, holding her steady. "Which way?" She pointed west with a hand that had finally stopped shaking. "Follow the creek bed. There's a stand of 3 dead cottonwoods. Turn north there." They rode in silence for a while. The storm that had been threatening all day finally made good on its promise. Snow began to fall in earnest, thick flakes that turned the world into a white blur. Cole felt Emma shiver despite the coat, despite his body heat. Hypothermia had already set in. He needed to get her somewhere warm and fast. "Tell me about your mama," he said, partly to keep her talking, to keep her conscious, partly because he needed to know what he was walking into. "Her name's Clara Ann Walker. She's 32. Emma's voice was small but steady. "She can read and write. She taught me when I was 5. Her father was a pharmacist back in Pennsylvania before she met Papa. She knows about medicines and herbs and how to set bones." "Sounds like a smart woman." "She is. That's why I know something's real wrong. Mama never stays in bed. Not ever. Even when Papa died, she cried one night and then got up the next morning and did all the chores. Said grieving's important, but it don't feed chickens." Cole felt something twist in his chest. Grief. He knew it well. Had been carrying it like a stone in his pocket for 4 years. Heavy, smooth from constant handling, impossible to put down. "How long's your mama been fevered?" 5 days now. At first she said it was just tired. We'd been hauling water from the creek, breaking ice to get to it. Then she got the shakes. Then she couldn't get out of bed. Then," Emma's voice caught, "then yesterday she called me Ruth. That's her sister who died 10 years ago. And this morning she won't hardly wake up at all. We'll help her." "How do you know?" Honest answer. He didn't. Pneumonia that far along, especially without proper medicine, without proper care, was usually a death sentence. But this child had walked 3 miles barefoot through a Wyoming winter. She had been turned away by everyone she asked. She deserved something better than brutal honesty. Because, he said, sometimes people surprise you. Sometimes they fight harder than you think they can. The 3 dead cottonwoods appeared through the snow like skeletal fingers pointing at the sky. Cole turned Rust north. Half a mile later, the cabin came into view. It was worse than he expected. The structure hunched in a small hollow, as if trying to disappear into the landscape. Weathered logs, gaps visible between them. A roof that sagged on one side patched with canvas that flapped in the wind. No smoke from the chimney. That detail struck him hardest. No smoke meant no fire. No fire in December in Wyoming meant whoever was inside had either given up or was already gone. "That's home," Emma said quietly. Something in her voice suggested she knew exactly how it looked, knew what a stranger would think seeing this place. Cole said nothing. He rode Rust up to the cabin and dismounted, then lifted Emma down. Her feet touched the snow, and she winced, but she did not cry out. "Tough kid, tougher than she should have to be." "Stay here just a moment," he said. "Let me check on your mama first." "No." Emma grabbed his sleeve with both hands. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "I'm coming. I ain't leaving her again." He looked down at her, at the determination in her eyes, and nodded. Some battles were not worth fighting. The cabin door was not locked. It swung open with a sound like something dying. The interior was dark, cold, and smelled of sickness, that particular odor of sweat and fever, and something else. Something that spoke of time running out. Cole's eyes adjusted to the dim light. The cabin was small, one room with a loft, a table with 2 chairs, a cold fireplace, a bed against the far wall, and in that bed, barely visible under a thin quilt, was a woman. Emma ran to her mother's side. "Mama, Mama, I'm back. I brought help." The woman stirred, not much, just enough to show she was still alive. Her face, when Cole got closer, was flushed with fever, even in the cold air. Red hair spread across a pillow that had clearly been wet and dried multiple times. She was younger than he expected, early 30s like Emma said. Even ravaged by illness, her face showed traces of what she must have looked like before. Strong features, determined jaw. The kind of woman who carved out a life in hard country and refused to let it break her, until it did. Clara Walker's eyes opened. Hazel, clouded with fever, struggling to focus. They found her daughter first. Something like recognition flickered there. "Emma." The voice was barely a whisper, hoarse from days of delirium. "Baby, I told you to stay. Told you not to go. I had to, Mama. You were so sick. Couldn't just sit here and watch you die. No one's coming. They won't. They never." Her eyes drifted toward Cole, trying to make sense of this stranger in her home. "Who?" Cole moved closer slowly, the way he would approach a spooked horse. "Ma'am, my name's Cole Brennan. Your daughter found me on the trail. She asked for help. Can't pay? We don't have anything. Nobody's asking you to pay." Clara's hand moved, weak, searching. It found Emma's and held tight. "Good man?" she asked her daughter. Is he a good man?" Emma looked up at Cole. Really looked. Studying him the way a child studies something important. Then she nodded. "I think so, Mama. I think he is." Clara's gaze returned to Cole's face. For just a moment, clarity broke through the fever. Her eyes sharpened. "Daniel, my husband. Daniel said once, about a friend in Colorado, deputy who saved his life." Cole's throat went tight. "Daniel Walker. You knew him. Worked with him. Boulder County, 1877 to 79. He pulled me out of a stampede in 78. Good man. One of the best I ever knew." Something that might have been relief washed across Clara's face. Or maybe just resignation. She reached under her pillow with her free hand, moving slowly like every motion cost her everything. She pulled out an envelope, sealed with wax. Her handwriting on the front, shaky but legible. "If I die." She pressed it into Cole's hand. "Read this. Only if I'm gone. Ma'am, you're not going to die. I'm going to help you." Everyone says that." Her eyes were drifting closed again. "But sometimes we don't get saved. Sometimes God just wants us home." "Not today," Cole said, with more confidence than he felt. "Not if I have anything to say about it." But Clara was already slipping away, back into the fever, back into whatever place her mind went, when consciousness was too much to bear. Her grip on Emma's hand loosened, but did not let go. Emma looked up at Cole with eyes that had seen too much, understood too much for someone so young. "She's going to die, isn't she? Like Papa did. I'm going to be all alone." Cole knelt beside the bed, eye level with this child who had walked through hell to find help that might have come too late. He wanted to lie, wanted to say everything would be fine. But lies had a way of becoming their own kind of cruelty. "I don't know," he said. But I know I'm going to try. And I know you're not alone. Not while I'm here. You'll stay. Yeah, I'll stay. Emma nodded once like she was making a decision herself. Then, without warning, she leaned forward and wrapped her arms around Cole's neck. A child's hug, desperate and trusting, and full of hope that maybe, just maybe, this time someone would not let her down. Cole froze. Every instinct told him to pull away, to maintain distance, to remember that caring meant losing, and losing meant the kind of pain he had sworn never to feel again. But his arms, those traitor arms that remembered holding a daughter who never lived, came up and held Emma Walker, held her tight, felt her shake with silent sobs that she had been holding back for days, maybe weeks, maybe since March when her father died, and left her with only a mother who was now dying too. "I got you," he whispered. "You hear me, Emma? I got you." Outside, the storm picked up. Snow piled against the cabin walls. The temperature dropped. Night was coming, and with it, the coldest hours. The hours when people made decisions about who they were and what they were willing to give up for strangers who maybe were not strangers anymore. Cole looked at the sealed letter in his hand, at the dying woman in the bed, at the child in his arms who believed against all evidence that one man could make a difference. He thought about Sarah, about the daughter he never met, about 4 years of running from the kind of moment that was happening right now. Then he thought about Daniel Walker pulling him from beneath 1,000 pounds of panicked cattle, saying later over whiskey, "We look out for each other. That's what makes us different from animals." Cole stood Emma still in his arms. He carried her to the fireplace. There was wood stacked nearby, dry enough. He set her down gently and began building a fire. His hands worked automatically, stacking kindling, striking a match. The flame caught, grew, began to push back the cold. "We're going to need water," he said. "And whatever medicine your mama's been using, can you show me?" Emma nodded, wiped her eyes, stood up straighter. "There's a creek out back, hole in the ice Papa cut last winter. Mama's been keeping it open. And the medicine box is on that shelf." She pointed to a collection of bottles and jars. "But Dr. Holloway wouldn't give us more laudanum, said we owed him too much already." "How much?" $47. Cole thought of the $43 in his saddlebag. Everything he had. "We'll figure it out." He spent the next hour doing what he could. Built the fire until the cabin was almost warm. Boiled water from the creek. Found clean cloths and made compresses for Clara's forehead. Checked her pulse, which was too fast, and her breathing, which was too shallow. Pneumonia almost certainly advanced, maybe too far gone, but maybe not. Emma helped without being asked, fetched water, wrung out cloths, spoke softly to her unconscious mother. She moved through the cabin with the efficiency of someone who had been doing this alone for days, a child playing adult because there was no other choice. Near midnight, Cole finally convinced Emma to sleep. She curled up on a pile of blankets near the fire, her bandaged feet toward the warmth. Within minutes, exhaustion claimed her. Cole sat beside Clara's bed, the sealed letter still in his pocket. He watched her breathe, watched her fight, wondered what Daniel's wife was like when she was healthy, wondered what her daughter would be like if she grew up without both parents. Clara's eyes opened. For just a moment, lucidity returned. "You're still here," she whispered. "Told you I would be. Most people, they say things, but then they leave. I'm not most people." She studied his face in the firelight. "No, I don't think you are." Her hand moved toward the pocket where he had put the letter. "If I don't, if this fever, you'll read it, I will. And Emma, you'll make sure she's okay. I promise." There it was again. That word, promise. This time Cole meant it, knew what it would cost, knew he was already in too deep. But he had learned something sitting in this cabin watching a child walk through snow to save her mother, watching a dying woman think only of her daughter's future. Running did not make the pain stop. It just made it last longer. "Thank you," Clara breathed. Then sleep claimed her again. Cole sat in the firelight listening to two people breathe, mother and daughter, both depending on him now, both trusting him in ways he did not deserve. He thought about the letter in his pocket, about the secrets it might hold, about the choices that were coming. Outside the storm raged, inside the fire burned, and somewhere in between, a man who had given up on staying found himself unable to leave. The first night passed. Clara Walker did not die. Not yet. But dawn was still hours away. Dawn came slow and gray to Bear Hollow. Cole woke to find himself still in the chair beside Clara Walker's bed, his back protesting hours spent in a position no human spine was meant to endure. The fire had burned down to embers. He fed it fresh wood, watching sparks climb toward the ceiling like prayers that would never be answered. Clara still breathed. Shallow, ragged, but alive. Her fever had not broken, but it had not worsened either. Small mercies. He turned to check on Emma and found her already awake, sitting by the fire, watching him with those two old eyes. She had not moved from her blankets, had not made a sound, just watched, waiting to see what this stranger would do now that daylight had come and the crisis of the previous night had passed. "Morning," Cole said. Emma nodded but said nothing. Her body language spoke volumes, knees drawn up to her chest, arms wrapped around them, making herself small, making herself ready to run or fight or disappear, whatever the situation required. Cole recognized that posture. He had seen it in abused horses, in soldiers, after too many battles, in anyone who had learned that safety was temporary and trust was a luxury they could not afford. "You hungry?" he asked. "Some? I'll see what I can rustle up." The cabin's food stores were meager: flour, some dried beans, a little salt pork. Cole found a pan and began making something that could generously be called breakfast. Emma watched from her blankets, did not offer to help, did not speak unless spoken to. She was testing him, Cole realized, waiting to see if he would get angry at her silence, if he would demand gratitude for staying, if he would reveal himself to be just another adult who wanted something in return for basic human decency. He had seen Daniel Walker do this once, a horse someone had beaten into submission. Daniel spent 3 days just sitting in the corral, not approaching, not demanding, just being present. By the 4th day, the horse came to him. Cole could be patient. He cooked in silence, made 2 plates, set one on the floor near Emma's blankets far enough away that she would not feel cornered. Took his own plate and sat by the window, giving her space. Emma stared at the food like it might be a trap. Then slowly she reached for it, ate without taking her eyes off him. Every bite measured, every moment ready to bolt if he made the wrong move. "Your mama," Cole said, keeping his voice low, conversational. "She taught you to read. You said, 'Yes, sir.' Can you write too?" "Yes, sir." "That's good. Not many folks out here can. Shows she valued learning." Emma's shoulders relaxed a fraction. "Mama says reading's important. Says it's how you travel without leaving home. Says every book's a door to somewhere new. Smart woman. Everyone says that. Then they don't help when she needs it." The bitterness in that young voice cut deeper than anger would have. Cole set down his plate. "Emma, I need you to understand something. I'm not looking for thanks. I'm not expecting anything from you or your mama. I stayed because it was the right thing to do, that's all. But you'll leave. Eventually, yes. I'll need to go to town, get proper medicine for your mama, maybe find work, but I'll come back." "That's what they all say." "Who's they?" Emma's hands twisted in her blanket. "Papa's friends. After he died. They said they'd check on us, help with the heavy work. They came twice. Then they stopped coming, said they had their own problems." "I see." "Mrs. Sterling said it's not Christian to ask for help all the time. Said we needed to learn to stand on our own. Said Mama was too proud anyway." "Mrs. Sterling sounds like someone with a lot of opinions about other people's troubles and not much willingness to fix them." That almost got a smile. Almost. Emma looked at her mother, still unconscious in the bed. "Is she going to die today?" The question, delivered in that flat child's voice, was worse than tears would have been. "I don't know," Cole said. "But she made it through the night. That counts for something." "Papa didn't make it through the night. He was fine at supper. By morning he was gone." Cole crossed to the bed, checked Clara's pulse. Still too fast, but steady. Her forehead was hot, but not burning. She was fighting. "Your mama's tougher than you think. She raised you, didn't she? That takes strength. I try to be good, try not to be trouble, but it's hard sometimes. There's so much to do, and I'm not big enough for most of it. Come here." Emma hesitated, then stood, moved toward him with the careful steps of someone walking into unknown territory. Cole gestured to the fireplace. "You said your papa taught you to build a fire." "Yes, sir, when I was 6. "Show me." For the first time, something sparked in Emma's eyes. Purpose. She knelt by the fireplace, which had burned down again while they talked. Her small hands moved with surprising confidence. Kindling, first arranged just so. Larger pieces in a teepee formation. She struck a match, shielded it from drafts, coaxed the flame to life. Within minutes, she had a fire going that would have put most grown men to shame. "That's good work," Cole said. "Real good work." Emma looked up at him, surprise clear on her face. Like praise was something she had not expected to receive. "Papa said a fire's like a promise. You have to tend it or it goes out. You can't just light it and walk away." Your papa was right. They spent the morning in careful orbit around each other. Cole tended to Clara, changing compresses, getting water down her throat when she surfaced enough to swallow. Emma tidied the cabin with the kind of obsessive attention that spoke of a child trying to make herself useful, trying to prove her worth. Around noon, Clara woke. Really woke, not the half-conscious delirium of the night before. Her eyes found Emma first. "Baby, you're here. You're safe." Emma ran to her mother's side. "I found help, Mama. This is Mr. Brennan. He's going to make you better." Clara's gaze moved to Cole, clearer now, but still glazed with fever. "You stayed. Said I would. Thank you." She tried to sit up, failed. There's things you need to know. Rest first. We can talk later." "No." The word came out fierce. What little strength she had gathered in sleep she poured into this moment. "Listen, please, Daniel. My husband, he didn't die in an accident." The room went very still. Cole moved closer. "Ma'am, the horse. Someone poisoned it. Made it go crazy." Daniel had no chance. Emma's hand found her mother's. "Mama, you're fevered. You're not making sense." "I'm making perfect sense." Clara's eyes locked onto Cole's. "My father, Victor Blackwood. He wanted our land, offered money. Daniel refused. 3 weeks later, Daniel's dead. The horse had to be shot. I found wolfsbane in the feed barrel. Your father—" Clara's face twisted with old pain. "I haven't spoken to him in 9 years, not since I married Daniel. Papa said I was marrying beneath me, that Daniel was just a ranch hand with no future. I chose my husband over my father, and Papa never forgave me." Cole felt the pieces clicking into place. "Judge Blackwood is your father. Was. He disowned me, said I was dead to him. I tried to reconcile after Emma was born, sent him letters, pictures of his granddaughter. He sent them all back unopened." Emma had gone pale. "Mama, you never told me I had a grandfather." "Because he's not your grandfather. Not in any way that matters. He chose pride over family, chose his empire over his daughter." Clara's breathing grew labored. "But now Daniel's dead, and I'm dying. And he'll come for you, Emma. Come for this land. Use the law he controls to take everything." "That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth. I have proof. Daniel kept records, journal entries. They're hidden, under the floorboard, by the table, third plank from the wall." Cole looked at Emma, who had gone very still. "Did you know about this?" "No, sir. None of it. Not about grandfather, not about Papa being murdered. Nothing." Clara's hand shot out, grabbed Cole's wrist. "If I die, they'll take Emma. Victor will claim her as blood kin, put her in his house, control her until she's old enough to sign over the land. I can't let that happen." "Mrs. Walker, you need to calm down. Promise me." Her grip tightened with surprising strength. "Promise me you'll take care of my daughter. Promise me she won't end up with him, with the man who killed her father." The weight of those words settled over the cabin like snow. Cole looked at this dying woman, at her terrified daughter, at the choice being forced upon him by circumstance and conscience, and a debt to a dead man who had once pulled him from beneath a stampede. "I promise," he said. Clara's grip loosened. Relief washed across her fevered face. "Thank you. Thank you." She reached under her pillow, pulled out that sealed letter. "Read this. After. It explains everything. About Victor. About why he can't have Emma. You're going to be fine. You're going to read it to me yourself." But Clara shook her head. She knew. Somehow she knew. "Emma, baby, come here." Emma climbed onto the bed, careful not to jostle her mother. Clara's arms came around her daughter, holding tight. "You're the best thing I ever did," Clara whispered. "You and your papa. You're everything good in this world, and I need you. I need you to be brave now. Can you do that?" "I don't want to be brave. I want you to get better." "I know, baby, I know, but sometimes God has other plans, and when he calls us home, we have to go. But you—" She pulled back, looked into Emma's eyes. "You're going to be fine. Mr. Brennan's going to take care of you. He's a good man. Can you trust him?" "I don't know, I just met him." "Trust me then. Trust your mama. He won't let you down. And he won't let Victor take you." Emma's face crumpled. The tears she had been holding back finally broke free. "Don't leave me. Please don't leave me. I can't do this alone." "You're not alone. You'll never be alone. I'll always be with you, in here." Clara touched Emma's chest over her heart. "And your papa's there too. We're both there. Always." They held each other while Cole watched, feeling like an intruder in this most private of moments. A mother and daughter saying goodbye. The kind of goodbye that echoed through years, that shaped who a child would become, that could never be taken back, or softened, or made easier. Clara's eyes met his over Emma's head. "Keep her from him," she mouthed. "Please." He nodded once. The day passed. Clara slipped in and out of consciousness. Each time she surfaced, she was a little less there, a little more gone. The fever climbed despite everything Cole tried. Despite cold compresses and water and prayers he did not believe in, but said anyway because what else was there to do. Emma stayed by her mother's side, held her hand, sang songs Clara had taught her, read from a worn Bible in a voice that shook but never stopped. Night fell. The second night. The one that would matter. Around 3 a.m, Clara's breathing changed, became shallow, then shallower still. Cole knew the sound, had heard it before with Sarah, the body preparing to stop, the machine winding down. "Emma," he said gently, "you should say anything you need to say. Now." Emma looked up at him, understanding flooding her young face. Now. She leaned close to her mother's ear, whispered things Cole could not hear and would not have listened to if he could. Private things, final things, the kind of words that belonged only to a mother and daughter. Clara's eyes opened one last time, found her daughter. A smile touched her cracked lips. "My brave girl," she breathed. "My beautiful, brave girl." Then she was gone, just like that, between one breath and the next, between one heartbeat and silence. Clara Walker left her daughter behind. Emma did not cry, did not scream, just sat there holding her mother's hand, staring at the face that would never smile at her again. Cole put his hand on Emma's shoulder. She did not pull away this time, just sat there frozen, lost in a grief too big for words. "She's gone," Emma said, flat, empty. "Mama's gone. I'm sorry." "Everyone leaves, Papa, now Mama, everyone leaves." "Emma, you'll leave too, once this is over. Once you do whatever you think you need to do, you'll leave and I'll be alone again." Cole knelt beside the bed, took Emma's other hand in his. "Look at me." She did. Those hazel eyes, so much like her mother's, filled now with a despair no child should have to carry. "I made your mama a promise," Cole said, "and I don't break my promises. You hear me? I'm not leaving you alone. Not now. Not ever. You don't have to lie. Mama can't hear you anymore. I'm not lying. And I'm not saying it for your mama. I'm saying it for you. And for me. Because I think maybe I need you as much as you need me right now." For a long moment Emma just stared at him, searching his face for truth, for lies, for any hint of what kind of man he really was. Then slowly she leaned forward. Her forehead touched his chest. And the tears came. Not gentle tears. Not quiet grief. But the kind of crying that tears through a person like a storm. The kind that leaves you hollow and empty and somehow lighter for having let it out. She sobbed against him, her small body shaking her hands, gripping his shirt like he was the only solid thing in a world that had become untethered. Cole held her, let her cry, said nothing because there was nothing to say that would make this better. The only thing he could offer was presence, the promise that she was not falling alone. They stayed like that until the crying stopped, until Emma had no more tears left. She pulled back, wiped her face with her sleeve. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Don't be. I got your shirt all wet. It'll dry." What happens now? Cole thought about the letter in his pocket. About the journal hidden under the floorboards, about Victor Blackwood and poisoned horses and a grandfather who had killed his own son-in-law for land. About an 8-year-old girl with no parents and no future, and no one but a stranger to stand between her and whatever came next. Now, he said, we figure it out together. He buried Clara Walker as the sun came up. Emma stood beside him holding the wooden cross he had made from cabin scraps. They did not have a preacher, did not have anyone but each other. So Cole said words he half remembered from his own wife's funeral, and Emma read from her mother's Bible, and they laid Clara next to the husband she had loved. When it was done, Emma placed wildflowers on the grave, winter flowers small and tough and beautiful. "Goodbye, Mama," she whispered. "I'll make you proud, I promise." They walked back to the cabin in silence. Cole made coffee. Emma sat at the table staring at nothing. He pulled the letter from his pocket, broke the seal, read words that would change everything, and realized Clara Walker had not died of pneumonia alone. She had died knowing her daughter was about to become the center of a storm that would decide whether a grandfather's guilt could be transformed into love or whether pride and power would destroy what remained of the Blackwood family forever. Cole looked at Emma, at this child who had just lost everything. Then he made a decision that would alter both their lives forever. "Emma," he said, "how would you feel about me staying not just for a few days, but really staying, being your guardian, keeping you safe?" Emma's head came up. Hope flickered in those devastated eyes. "You mean it? I mean it. But you need to know something. Your mama was right. Your grandfather is going to try to take this land, and I'm going to have to fight him. It won't be easy. I don't care. I'll fight too." Cole folded the letter, put it back in his pocket. "Then we fight together. Or maybe," Emma said quietly, "we save each other." Outside, a new day was breaking. Inside, a promise was being made, not between a mother and a stranger, but between a broken man and a grieving child. The kind of promise that once spoken could never be taken back, the kind that would be tested in ways neither of them could imagine. But for now, in this moment, it was enough. The letter contained 3 pages written in Clara Walker's careful hand. Cole read it by lamplight, while Emma slept exhausted from grief, curled under blankets by the fire. Each word Clara had written was a window into a family destroyed by pride. The first page told the story Cole had already heard. Victor Blackwood, wealthy cattle baron and territorial judge, had one daughter, Sarah, beautiful, intelligent, headstrong. She fell in love with Daniel Walker, a ranch hand with nothing but a good heart and strong hands. Victor forbade the marriage. Clara married Daniel anyway. Victor's response was absolute. He disowned her, told her she was dead to him. When she tried to reconcile after Emma's birth, he returned every letter unopened. When she sent photographs of his granddaughter, he burned them. For 9 years, he maintained his position. Pride mattered more than blood. But the second page revealed something darker. In the spring of 1885, Daniel discovered silver on the Walker homestead. Not a fortune, but enough to change their lives. Enough to make the land valuable. Daniel was careful, told no one except Clara. But somehow Victor found out. The offers started in February, $500, then $700, then $1,000. Each time Daniel refused. The land was Emma's future, not for sale at any price. Victor's final visit, according to Clara's letter, came in early March. He did not offer money this time. He offered a choice: sell or face consequences. Daniel told him to leave, told him that being a judge did not make him God. 3 weeks later, Daniel was dead. The third page was Clara's plea to Cole. Victor killed my husband. I cannot prove it in court. The judge who would hear the case is the murderer himself. But I know my father. I know how he operates, power through law, cruelty through legal channels. He will come for Emma now that I am gone. Will claim her as his granddaughter. Will use blood right to take custody. And once he has her, he will control the land through her. Control her future. Bend her to his will the way he tried to bend me. Please, do not let him have her. Fight him. Protect her. Daniel trusted you. I trust you. Keep our daughter free. Cole folded the letter, looked at the sleeping child, then at the floor. He moved quietly to the table, knelt, counted 3 boards from the wall. The nails were loose, deliberately so. He pried up the plank with his knife. Underneath, wrapped in oilcloth, was a leather journal. Daniel Walker's handwriting was blocky, straightforward. The entries were dated, detailed. Conversations with Victor, offers that became threats, but also something else. Observations about the judge, notes about other families who refused to sell and then suffered accidents. The Patterson fire, the Henderson well poisoning, the Crawford barn collapse, a pattern of destruction surrounding Victor Blackwood. But what struck Cole most were Daniel's personal entries, reflections on fatherhood, on raising Emma, on watching his daughter grow and knowing that Victor had never seen her, never held her, never witnessed the miracle of his own granddaughter. He is a fool, Daniel wrote in one entry. A rich, powerful fool who chose pride over love, and now he will never know what he missed. Emma is perfect, smart as her mother, brave as any Walker, and her grandfather will die never having known her. That is his loss, his punishment, not ours. Cole replaced the journal, covered the hiding place, sat in the darkness thinking about fathers and daughters and the ways pride could poison everything it touched. When morning came, he made his decision. Emma, he said over breakfast, we need to go to town, file papers, make my guardianship legal. Will it work? If grandfather wants me, can papers stop him? I don't know, but we have to try. The ride to Silver Ridge took 2 hours. Emma sat in front of Cole on Rust's saddle, silent, watching the landscape pass. She had not spoken much since her mother's burial. Grief had stolen her words. The town materialized through morning mist, neat, orderly, prosperous. Victor Blackwood's domain. Every building spoke of money and control. The courthouse dominated the main street. White columns, imposing presence. A temple to law that served one man's will. Cole tied Rust to the hitching post outside the general store. We need supplies first, then we'll deal with the legal matters. Inside, the proprietor looked up from his ledger, middle-aged, balding, with the careful neutrality of someone who had learned not to take sides. Help you? Need flour, coffee, salt, whatever $40 will buy. The man's eyes flicked to Emma. Recognition dawned. You're the Walker girl. Yes, sir. Heard about your mama. Sorry for your loss. Thank you. And you are, the question directed at Cole. Cole Brennan. I'm looking after Emma now. The proprietor's expression shifted, calculation replacing sympathy. Looking after her, how? Guardian, friend of her father's. I see. Well, the account is settled then. Your mama owed $47. I assume you're paying. Cole pulled out his money, counted it. I've got 43. Not enough. $4 short for a grieving child. Business is business, can't run a store on charity. Emma stepped forward. Mama died owing you money, Papa died owing you money. Now you won't even give us food unless we pay everything? What kind of man are you? The kind who has bills of his own little girl. Cole put his hand on Emma's shoulder. We'll make do with what we can buy for 43. They were loading meager supplies into rust saddlebags when a voice stopped them. Mr. Brennan, Emma. Dr. Samuel Holloway approached from across the street. He looked older than Cole remembered from Emma's description. Late 40s, graying with guilt written across his features. I heard about your mother, he said to Emma. I wanted to say, I'm sorry, I should have helped, should have treated her regardless of payment. You let her die, Emma said. Flat. Factual. Yes, I did, Holloway's voice cracked. And I'll carry that shame until I die. But I want you to know, if you need medical care, for any reason, I won't turn you away again. Why should we trust you now? You shouldn't. But I'm offering anyway, because it's the only way I know to try to make amends. Cole studied the doctor, saw genuine remorse, saw a man who had made the wrong choice and was drowning in the consequences. We'll remember that. They were preparing to leave when Sheriff Thomas Cox appeared. He wore his star-like armor. Behind him, 2 deputies. Behind them, a woman in severe black dress. Mrs. Margaret Sterling, thin, sharp-eyed with the expression of someone who believed suffering built character. Mr. Brennan, Cox said, we need to talk about the Walker girl. What about her? She's an orphan now. County has responsibility. I'm her guardian. According to what legal document? According to her mother's wishes. Verbal wishes from a dying woman don't constitute legal guardianship. Cox gestured to Mrs. Sterling. The Children's Aid Society has facilities for orphans. Proper care, education. Emma should be placed immediately. Emma stays with me. Mrs. Sterling stepped forward. Mr. Brennan, I understand you mean well, but a child needs stability, female guidance, preparation for civilized life. A drifter cannot provide these things. I'm not a drifter anymore. 1 week of residence does not erase 4 years of wandering. Before Cole could respond, a carriage rolled down the main street. Black lacquer, fine horses, driver in livery, the kind of vehicle that announced wealth and power. It stopped in front of the courthouse. The door opened, and Victor Blackwood stepped out. He was 61, but carried himself like a man 20 years younger, tall, broad-shouldered, with silver hair and a face that commanded respect. He wore a suit that cost more than most families earned in a year. Everything about him spoke of authority. His eyes found Emma immediately. For a moment something flickered in his expression, something that might have been recognition or longing or grief for all the years he had missed. Then it was gone, replaced by the mask of a judicial composure. Sheriff Cox, he said. Voice cultured, Eastern educated. Mrs. Sterling. And you must be Mr. Brennan. Judge Blackwood. Victor's attention shifted to Emma. Really looked at her for the first time. And Cole saw it happen. The realization hitting the old man like a physical blow, the shape of her face, the color of her eyes, the way she stood chin up defiant despite fear. She looked exactly like her mother. Emma, Victor said quietly, my granddaughter. The street went silent. People who had been going about their business stopped, watched. This was news. Judge Blackwood acknowledging the girl he had pretended did not exist for 9 years. Emma said nothing, just stared at this stranger who claimed blood connection. Victor took a step forward. I know you don't know me. I know I have no right to approach you after the choices I made, but I want you to understand something. You are my blood, my family, and now that your mother is gone, it is my responsibility to care for you. My mother's been gone 2 days, and you're already here. Emma's voice was steady, cold. Awful convenient timing. I came as soon as I heard. You didn't come when she was alive, didn't come when she sent you letters, didn't come when she sent you pictures of me. You sent them back. Mama told me everything before she died. Victor's composure cracked slightly. Your mother and I had differences. I made mistakes, I know that now, but I'm trying to make amends. By taking me away from the one person who actually helped us, by offering you a home, security, education, everything you should have had if things had been different. Things were different because you made them different. You chose pride over family. Mama said that, said you'd rather be right than be loved. The words landed like blows. Victor actually took a step back. Around them the crowd murmured. This was unprecedented. A child speaking truth to the most powerful man in the county. Emma, Victor said, and his voice shook now. "Please, I am asking. Let me try to be the grandfather I should have been from the beginning." "Why? So you can control me, control the land. Mama said you wanted our homestead. Said you'd do anything to get it." "Your mother was. She was incorrect about my motivations." "Was she incorrect about the wolf's bane in the feed barrel, about Papa's horse going crazy, about you visiting 3 weeks before he died?" The street went absolutely silent. Victor's face drained of color. "That is a serious accusation." "It's the truth. Mama wrote it all down. And Papa did too. I know what you did. I know what you are." The street went absolutely silent. Victor's face drained of color. "That is a serious accusation, child. It's the truth. Papa knew. Mama knew. And I know. You wanted our land. You threatened Papa. 3 weeks later, he was dead." "Your father died in a tragic accident." "Did he? Or did someone poison his horse, make it go crazy, make it look like an accident?" Emma's voice rose, not with fear, with fury. "Mama found wolfsbane in the feed barrel. She wrote it all down, everything you did, everything you said, and when we go to court, everyone will know." Sheriff Cox stepped between them quickly. "Judge, perhaps we should discuss this matter in your chambers, away from this spectacle." But Victor did not move. He stood transfixed, staring at his granddaughter, this child who looked so much like Sarah, who had her mother's fire, her mother's refusal to back down. "You have no proof," he said quietly, "just a grief-stricken child's accusations." "Don't I?" Emma's eyes were cold, hard. "Try me in court, grandfather. Let's see what I can prove." The challenge hung in the air, a child daring the most powerful man in the county to legal battle. The crowd pressed closer, sensing drama, sensing the kind of confrontation that would be talked about for years. Victor's composure cracked completely. The mask of judicial authority shattered. What remained was an old man confronting truths he had spent 9 years avoiding. "You think I wanted your father dead?" His voice shook. "You think I'm capable of murder? I think you're capable of anything to get what you want. You proved that when you disowned Mama, when you returned her letters, when you pretended I didn't exist for 9 years. That was different. That was pride, foolishness, not murder. Was it? Or is this just more of the same, more of you deciding what's right and forcing everyone else to live with your choices?" Victor looked around at the assembled crowd, at the faces watching, judging, finding him wanting. He had ruled this county for decades through authority and fear, but standing before his 8-year-old granddaughter, he had no power at all. "I did not kill your father," he said, each word deliberate, heavy. "I wanted his land. I made offers. I even made threats. But I did not poison that horse. I did not order his death. And I grieve that my actions, my reputation, my willingness to use law as a weapon created an environment where such a thing could happen. If someone thought they were serving my interests by harming Daniel, then I am guilty, but not of murder, of creating the conditions where murder seemed acceptable." Emma studied him, searching for lies, for manipulation, finding only exhaustion, guilt, the admission of a man who had lost everything and was finally admitting responsibility. "Then prove it," she said. "In court, with a fair judge. Show me you're not the man Mama thought you were." Victor met her eyes. "I will. I'm recusing myself from the custody case. Circuit Judge Whitmore will preside. You will have impartial justice, Emma. I promise you that." "Why?" "Because I need to know if redemption is possible. If a man who destroyed his own family through pride can build something from the wreckage. And I need you to choose, not be forced. Choose whether I deserve a place in your life." He climbed into his carriage. Before closing the door, he looked at Emma one last time. "I loved your mother more than I knew how to show, and I see her in you, every stubborn, brilliant, fierce piece of her. I hope someday that's enough, that you might give me the chance she never got to." The carriage pulled away. Emma stood in the street shaking now that the confrontation was over. Cole's hand found her shoulder. "You did good," he said quietly. "Real good." He seemed like he meant it, about being sorry. Maybe he does, or maybe he's just scared of losing you. Either way, we've got 3 days to prepare, 3 days to prove I'm fit to be your guardian. What if we can't prove it? Then we fight harder. We don't give up. That's what your mama would want." Emma nodded, squared her shoulders. "Then let's fight." They mounted Rust and rode back toward the cabin. Behind them, Silver Ridge buzzed with gossip. Ahead, a battle neither had expected. But for now, in this moment, they had each other, and that was enough to face whatever came next. They returned to the cabin to find a visitor waiting on the porch. Reverend Thomas Hayes sat on the step hat in hands with the patient expression of someone used to waiting on the Lord's time. He stood as they approached. "Mr. Brennan, Emma, I hope you don't mind the intrusion." Cole dismounted, helped Emma down. "Reverend, I heard about the encounter in town, about Judge Blackwood's petition, and I came to offer my services. Services as character witness, as advocate, as whatever help an old preacher can provide." Hayes looked at Emma kindly. "I knew your mother, child, not well, but enough to know she would not want you taken from the man she chose to protect you." "How did you know, Mama?" Emma asked. "I performed her wedding 9 years ago, small ceremony. Just Sarah and Daniel and 2 witnesses. Your grandfather refused to attend, but I remember your mother's face that day. Pure joy. She knew what she was choosing, knew what it would cost. And she chose love anyway." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "You married them." "I did. And I have never seen 2 people more certain of their path. Your father promised to cherish your mother until death. He kept that promise. Now I intend to help keep hers, the promise she made to you, that you would be cared for." Cole studied the Reverend. "Why help us?" "You know what fighting Victor Blackwood means. He controls this county, can make life difficult for those who oppose him." "I am aware. I have watched him operate for 15 years, watched him bend law to his will, watched good people lose their land, their livelihoods, their hope, and I have remained silent because I told myself it was not my place to interfere with temporal matters." Hayes met Cole's gaze steadily. "But a child's welfare is not temporal. It is eternal, and I will not be silent anymore." "There's something else." A new voice from the trail. A woman emerged from the tree line. Mid-50s widow's black work-hardened hands. "I'm Martha Jenkins. I own the property adjacent to yours, and I'm here to help too." Cole recognized the name from Daniel's journal. The Jenkins homestead bordered the Walker land on the western edge. "Why?" he asked. Martha's expression hardened. "Because 20 years ago my husband refused to sell land to Victor Blackwood. 2 months later, our barn burned. Took 3 horses and our harvest. Sheriff ruled it accidental. Lightning strike, he said. But there was no storm that night. Just a fire that started in 3 places at once." "You think Blackwood was responsible?" "I know he was. Same as I know he killed Daniel Walker. Same as I know he'll do whatever it takes to get this land now that Clara's gone." She looked at Emma. "But he's not getting you, child. Not if I can help prevent it." "What can you do?" Emma asked. "I can testify. I can tell the court about the pattern. About all the families who suffered after refusing Victor. I can establish reasonable doubt about his character." "That could put you in danger," Cole said. "I'm an old widow with nothing left to lose. He already took my livelihood. All I have left is my conscience. Time I started using it." Over the next 2 days, they came, one by one, people Cole had worked for during his week of proving himself. The Crawfords, the Hendersons, Old Man Patterson, each one offering testimony, each one willing to stand against Victor Blackwood in defense of a child they barely knew. Dr. Holloway returned, brought medical supplies, examined Emma's frost-bitten feet which were healing well. "I'll testify that you've provided adequate care," he said, "that the child is healthy and well-adjusted. It's not much, but it's something." The day before the hearing, Emma was in the loft when Cole heard a gasp. He climbed the ladder to find her holding the journal. "You found Papa's hiding place," she said. "Your mother told me where it was." Emma traced the leather cover with gentle fingers. "Did you read it?" "Some. I've read all of it. When I was 6, Papa showed me. Said if anything happened to him, I needed to know what was in here." She opened to a random page. "March 2nd, 1885. Emma turned 6 today. We had cake. Real cake with sugar and butter. Clara saved for months to afford it. Emma said it was the best thing she ever tasted. Then she asked if Grandfather would have come if we invited him. I didn't know how to answer. How do you tell a child that her own blood would rather pretend she doesn't exist than admit he was wrong?" Emma's voice did not waver as she recited. Cole realized what he was witnessing. Perfect recall. She was not reading. She was remembering. "You memorized it," he said. "The whole journal." "I remember everything I read, everything I hear. Mama said it's a gift, that some people are just born that way." Emma closed the journal. "I remember every word Grandfather said to Mama in his letters, the ones he sent before he stopped answering. I remember the last one. June 14th, 1876. Daughter, you have made your choice. A choice that brings shame to our family. I can no longer acknowledge you as my blood. You are dead to me. Do not contact me again. Father." Cole felt something cold settle in his chest. "How do you know what his letter said? I thought he sent them back unopened." Mama kept copies of every letter she sent him, and copies of the 3 he sent back before he stopped. She showed me once. when I asked why I didn't have a grandfather. She wanted me to understand it wasn't my fault, that some people choose pride over love. Emma, this ability of yours, to remember everything. Does anyone else know? Mama knew? Papa knew? Now you know. At the hearing tomorrow, would you be willing to demonstrate it? Emma considered this. To prove I'm smart enough to have opinions about my own future? Something like that. Will it help us win? I don't know, but it might make them see you differently. Not as a child to be managed, but as a person whose wishes should matter. Then I'll do it. That night, Victor Blackwood came alone. Cole heard the horse before he saw the rider. Single mount. No deputies, no entourage, just an old man arriving after dark. Mr. Brennan, Victor called from beyond the firelight. I've come to talk, just talk. No lawyers, no sheriff, just two men who care about the same girl. Cole stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand but not raised. Talk then? Victor dismounted, approached slowly, hands visible. Up close he looked older than he had in town, tired, the weight of years and choices pressing down. I want to make you an offer, Victor said. Not a bribe, not a threat, a genuine offer. I'm listening. Stay, both of you. Live here on the Walker homestead. I will deed you 20 acres free and clear. I will provide income. $500 a year. Enough to support Emma properly. All I ask is that you allow me to visit, to be part of my granddaughter's life, to try to build something from the wreckage of my mistakes. Cole studied him. Why not just fight for custody? You said yourself you'd likely win. Because winning means nothing if Emma hates me for it. If I force this through courts and law, I get a granddaughter who resents me, who sees me as the man who stole her from the person she chose. I have had enough of that kind of victory. It cost me my daughter. I will not let it cost me my granddaughter too. And if I say no, then we go to court tomorrow, and I fight for custody with every resource at my disposal. Because I am trying to do right, Mr. Brennan, but I am also terrified. Terrified that if I do not act now, I will lose the last connection to my daughter. Lose the chance to know the child Sarah created. I am an old man running out of time to atone for old sins. Did you kill Daniel Walker? The question hung between them. Victor did not flinch, did not look away. No, he said. I did not. I wanted his land. I offered to buy it. I even threatened legal action if he did not sell. But I did not kill him. That horse went mad because someone poisoned it, but it was not by my order. Who then? I don't know. And that is the truth that haunts me. Because if someone acted thinking they were serving my interests, then I am still responsible. My reputation for ruthlessness, my willingness to use law as a weapon, these things created an environment where such an act seemed acceptable, so even if my hands are clean, my conscience is not. Cole heard the door open behind him. Emma emerged wrapped in a blanket. I couldn't sleep, she said. Then she saw Victor. Froze. Victor's expression transformed, softened in a way Cole had not seen. Until 9 years became a chasm I did not know how to cross. Emma's hands twisted in her blanket. Mama cried sometimes, late at night when she thought I was asleep. She missed you, even after everything. She still missed her papa. Victor's composure shattered. His face crumpled. Tears he had probably not shed in decades spilled down weathered cheeks. I missed her too, he whispered. Every single day. And now she is gone and I can never tell her, can never apologize, can never hold her and say I was wrong. All I have left is you, and I am begging for the chance to be the grandfather I should have been from your birth. Emma looked up at Cole, question in her eyes. What should I do? Cole knelt beside her. This is your choice, Emma, not mine, not the court's, yours. What do you want? I don't know. I'm angry at him for hurting Mama, for not being there, but I think maybe he really is sorry. And Mama used to say forgiveness is harder than hate. But also more important, you don't have to decide tonight. But the hearing is tomorrow. The hearing determines where you live, who has legal custody. But it doesn't determine whether you forgive your grandfather. That's separate. You can live with me and still give him a chance. Or you can live with him and still be angry. These things aren't connected the way everyone thinks. Victor watched this exchange, then spoke carefully. Emma, Mr. Brennan is correct. I am asking the court for custody because I believe I can provide you with advantages he cannot. Education, security, society. But what I truly want is not control. It is connection. If you choose to live with Mr. Brennan and allow me to visit to be part of your life, I will withdraw my custody petition. I will settle for what you are willing to give. Emma stared at him. You'd do that. Give up custody just to see me sometimes. I would give up everything I own to have even a small place in your life. Because you are all I have left of my daughter. And I do not want to be the grandfather who took you from the man you chose. I want to be the grandfather who loved you enough to let you choose. Cole saw it happen, Emma's anger cracking, not disappearing, but shifting, making room for something else. Possibility, maybe, or the beginning of forgiveness. I need to think, Emma said. Take all the time you need. The hearing is at 10 tomorrow. Whatever you decide, I will respect it. Victor mounted his horse. Before riding away, he looked at Cole one more time. Regardless of what happens tomorrow, Mr. Brennan, know this. My daughter chose well when she chose your friend. And she chose well when she chose you to protect her daughter. I see that now. And I am grateful Emma has you in her corner. He rode into the darkness, left Cole and Emma standing in firelight, facing choices neither had expected to make. Do you believe him? Emma asked. Do you think he means it? I think he's a man who lost his daughter to pride and doesn't want to lose his granddaughter the same way. Whether that makes him trustworthy, I don't know, but I think his grief is real. What should I do? That's not for me to decide, but I can tell you what I think. I think people can change. I think guilt can become redemption if you let it. And I think your mama would want you to have family, all the family you can get, even family that comes late and imperfect. Emma was quiet for a long time. Then she said something that broke Cole's heart and mended it in the same breath. If I let him visit, if I give him a chance, you won't leave, will you? He'll still be my papa. Cole pulled her close, held her tight. Yeah, I'll still be your papa. Nothing changes that. Not judges, not grandfathers, not anything. Promise. I promise. They went inside. Emma climbed to the loft. Cole sat by the fire thinking about tomorrow, about courtrooms and custody and the ways families could break and heal. Outside, Wyoming night settled over Bear Hollow. Stars emerged. Wind whispered through pines. And somewhere in that darkness, an old man rode home wondering if redemption was possible, or if some sins were too deep to forgive. Tomorrow would tell. Dawn broke cold and clear over Silver Ridge. Cole woke to find Emma already awake, sitting by the fire dressed in her best clothes. The blue dress Martha had helped her mend, hair braided neatly. She looked older somehow, ready for battle. Couldn't sleep, he asked. Kept thinking about what to say. If the judge asks me questions. If I have to talk in front of everyone. Cole crossed to the fire, poured coffee. Emma, I need you to understand something. What happens today, it doesn't define us, doesn't define who we are to each other, no matter what the judge rules. But it decides where I live, who has legal custody, legal words. They matter for paperwork, but they don't change the truth. You're my daughter, I'm your papa. That's already decided, already real. Emma studied him over the rim of her own cup. You really mean that? I really mean that. Then why are we fighting if it doesn't matter what the judge says? Because it does matter for practical things. Where you go to school, who makes decisions about your health, who the law recognizes as having authority. And because I promised your mama I'd protect you, fighting is how I keep that promise. Martha arrived as they were preparing to leave. She brought food wrapped in cloth, biscuits and ham from her own breakfast. You'll need your strength, she said. It's going to be a long day. The ride to town felt different than before. This time others joined them. Reverend Hayes on his gray mare, Dr. Holloway in his buggy, Martha on her plow horse, the Crawfords, the Hendersons, Old Man Patterson. A procession, a statement. This child had community. Silver Ridge's main street was already crowded when they arrived. People lined the boardwalks, filled the spaces between buildings. Word had spread. The case of Judge Victor Blackwood versus orphan Emma Walker had captured attention. This was not just legal proceeding. It was theater, spectacle. The most powerful man in the county fighting for custody of the granddaughter he had disowned. The courthouse doors stood open. Inside benches packed with observers. Cole felt Emma's hand tighten in his as they walked down the center aisle. Eyes followed them, some sympathetic, some curious, some already judging. Victor sat at the plaintiff's table. He had legal counsel beside him. A sharp-faced man from Cheyenne who looked like he ate orphans for breakfast. But Victor himself looked diminished somehow, smaller than he had seemed in the darkness last night. When he saw Emma, his expression flickered. Hope, fear, something that might have been love if Cole was being generous. The bailiff called for order. All rise for Circuit Judge Samuel Whitmore. Whitmore entered from chambers. He was 65 if he was a day, white-bearded, stern-faced with eyes that had seen every trick lawyers could pull. He took the bench with the weariness of a man who had presided over too many cases where law and justice did not align. Be seated, he said. We are here to determine custody of Emma Louise Walker, minor child orphaned, December 16, 1885. The petitioner is Victor Blackwood, claiming blood right as grandfather. The respondent is Cole Brennan, claiming guardianship per the mother's wishes. Mr. Blackwood, you may present your case. The next hour was brutal. Victor's lawyer laid out the case with surgical precision. Victor's wealth, his position, his ability to provide education society every material advantage. Cole's poverty, his transient history, his lack of legal standing or permanent residence. My client acknowledges past estrangement from his daughter, the lawyer said, acknowledges mistakes made, but he comes before this court not seeking to erase the past, seeking to atone for it by providing his granddaughter with the future she deserves, a future of opportunity and security that a drifter, however well-intentioned, simply cannot offer. Witnesses testified. A banker spoke of Victor's financial stability. A teacher praised his donations to the school. Mrs. Sterling outlined the inadequacies of Emma's current situation. Then it was Cole's turn. Reverend Hayes spoke first, testified about knowing Sarah, about performing her wedding, about watching Daniel be a good man, a good husband, a good father. Cole Brennan carries that legacy, Hayes said. Carries it because Daniel trusted him, because Sarah trusted him, because Emma trusts him. And trust your honor is worth more than all the money in Wyoming. Martha Jenkins followed, told her story about the barn fire, about the pattern of accidents surrounding Victor's land acquisitions. I don't claim he ordered these things, she said carefully, but I know they happened. No family suffered, and I know Emma Walker deserves to be with someone she chooses, someone who was there when she needed help, not someone who ignored her existence for 9 years. Dr. Holloway testified about Emma's health, about Cole's adequate care. He was professional, clinical. But at the end he added something unscripted. I failed this child once, he said. Turned her away when her mother was dying. I don't know if I can ever make that right. But I know Cole Brennan didn't fail her, didn't turn away, didn't calculate cost versus benefit. He just helped. That counts for something. Then Cole took the stand. Victor's lawyer came at him hard, questioned his finances, his history, his suitability. Cole answered honestly, yes, he had been drifting. Yes, he had little money. Yes, he had no permanent home beyond the Walker cabin. But I have something else, he said. I have Emma's trust, her mother's faith, and a promise I made to protect her. That's my qualification, not money, not status, just promise kept. Promises are easy to make, the lawyer said. Harder to keep when resources run out, when winter comes and there's no food, when sickness strikes and there's no money for medicine. What then, Mr. Brennan? What happens to your promises then? Then I figure it out. Work harder, do whatever it takes. That's what fathers do. You're not her father. You're a stranger who met her 2 weeks ago. Cole looked at Emma. She sat between Martha and Hayes, watching him with those hazel eyes that saw too much, understood too much. You're right, he said. I'm not her father by blood. But I am the man who stopped when she needed help, who sat up all night watching her mama breathe, who buried both her parents and promised her she wouldn't be alone. That makes me something. Maybe not father by law, but father by choice, and I think that counts for more. The lawyer opened his mouth to continue. Judge Whitmore raised his hand. I believe we've heard enough from Mr. Brennan. Unless there's more to add. Cole thought about Emma's ability, about her perfect memory, about the journal entries she could recite word for word. Then he thought about what Hayes had said, about trust being worth more than money. No, Your Honor, nothing more. He stepped down, returned to his seat. Emma leaned against him, small, trusting, believing he would fix this somehow. Does either party wish to call additional witnesses? Whitmore asked. Victor's lawyer stood. We call Emma Walker. The courtroom went silent. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. The child at the center. What would she say? Who would she choose? Emma stood slowly, walked to the witness chair like she was walking to execution. The bailiff brought a box for her to stand on. She gripped the rail with white-knuckled hands. Whitmore leaned forward, spoke gently. Emma, do you understand why you're here? Yes, sir. You're deciding if I go with grandfather or stay with Cole. And do you understand that whatever you say here, it's important to tell the truth, even if the truth is hard? Yes, sir. Good. Now I'm going to ask you some questions. You just answer honestly. All right. All right. Whitmore glanced at his notes. Emma, you met Mr. Brennan 2 weeks ago, is that correct? Yes, sir. When I was looking for help for Mama. And you had never met him before that day? No, sir. But Mama knew about him. Papa told her stories about Colorado, about how Mr. Brennan saved his life. I see. And in these 2 weeks, how has Mr. Brennan treated you? Emma's voice steadied. He stayed. Everyone else I asked for help said no. Said we weren't their problem. But Mr. Brennan stopped, helped Mama, buried her when she died, promised me I wouldn't be alone. Has he been kind to you? Yes, sir. Has he provided for you food, shelter, care? Yes, sir, as much as he could. Whitmore turned to Victor. Judge Blackwood, your granddaughter, you've known of her existence for 9 years. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And in those 9 years, how many times did you visit her, speak with her, acknowledge her existence? Victor's face aged 10 years. Never, Your Honor. Never. I made a terrible mistake. I disowned my daughter when she married against my wishes. I maintained that position out of pride, out of stubbornness. I have regretted it every day since. But you never tried to fix it, to reconcile. No, to my eternal shame. Whitmore looked at Emma. Child, your grandfather says he wants to make amends, to be part of your life. How do you feel about that? Emma looked at Victor, really looked, and something in her expression shifted. She was 8 years old, but she carried understanding far beyond her years. I think he's sad, she said, really sad. About Mama, about all the years he missed. I think maybe he really does want to make up for it. Does that mean you want to live with him? No, sir. The word fell like a hammer. Victor's face crumpled, but Emma continued. I want to live with Cole. Whitmore leaned forward. Emma, Mr. Brennan mentioned you have a remarkable memory. Is that true? Emma nodded. Yes, sir. I remember everything I read, everything I hear, everything. Yes, sir. Like Papa's journal. I read it when I was 6. I can recite any page. Victor's lawyer scoffed. Your Honor, this is clearly coached testimony. Then test her, Cole said quietly. Pick any page from the journal. She'll prove it. The bailiff retrieved the journal from evidence. Victor's lawyer opened it randomly. Page 23. What does it say? Emma closed her eyes. When she spoke, her voice was clear. February 15th, 1885. Victor came again today, offered $1,000. I told him no amount of money would make me sell Emma's future. He said I was a fool. That stubborn men don't last long in Wyoming. I told him I'd rather die a fool than live a coward. The courtroom went silent. The lawyer checked the page. His face paled. Word for word, he whispered. Another page? Whitmore said, intrigued. Page 47. April 22nd. Saw Victor at Patterson's ranch. He looked at me like I was already dead, like it was just a matter of time. I'm scared. Not for me, for Clara, for Emma. If something happens to me, who will protect them? I wrote to Cole Brennan in Colorado. If he reads this, maybe he'll come. Maybe he'll remember I saved his life once. Maybe he'll save my daughter. Tears streamed down Emma's face as she recited her father's words, words written months before his death, words that prophesied everything that had come to pass. The courtroom erupted in whispers. This was not a coached child. This was a living record, a witness who could testify to her father's fears, her mother's warnings, everything that had led to this moment. He's the one who was there, the one who chose me when nobody else would, but... She looked at her grandfather. But maybe grandfather could visit sometimes, if he really wants to know me. If he really is sorry about Mama. Victor stood abruptly. His lawyer tried to pull him back down, but he shook him off. Emma, may I speak? Whitmore frowned. This is highly irregular. Please, Your Honor. I need to say this, need my granddaughter to hear it. Whitmore sighed. Go ahead. Victor approached the witness chair, knelt, so he was eye level with Emma. When he spoke, his voice shook. Emma, I am more sorry than you can possibly know. For hurting your mother, for not being there, for letting pride destroy my relationship with the only child I ever had. You are right to choose Mr. Brennan. He earned your trust. I did not. And I am withdrawing my petition for custody. The courtroom erupted. Whitmore's gavel came down. Order. Victor continued, speaking only to Emma now. But if you meant what you said, about letting me visit, about giving me a chance to know you, I would. I would treasure that. Would try every day to be the grandfather you deserve. Not to replace Mr. Brennan, but to add to your family, to be one more person who loves you. Emma's eyes filled with tears. You really mean it? You'd let me stay with Cole? I would, because taking you from the man you chose, that would make me no better than I was when I took your mother from the man she chose, and I will not repeat that mistake. What about the land Mama said you wanted our land? The land is yours. I will deed it to you free and clear, 20 acres, including the cabin, and I will provide $500 a year for your support. No strings, no conditions. Just let me try to be your grandfather. Emma looked at Cole. He nodded. Your choice. She turned back to Victor. You can visit, once a month maybe, and we'll see if we can be family. Victor's face transformed, joy breaking through grief. Thank you, child. You won't regret this, I promise. He stood, returned to his table. His lawyer looked stunned. Whitmore looked thoughtful. "Well," the judge said, "this is unprecedented, but if both parties agree. Mr. Brennan, do you consent to Judge Blackwood having visitation rights?" Cole stood. "If Emma wants it, I consent." "And Judge Blackwood, you are truly withdrawing your custody petition?" "I am, Your Honor, with the request that Mr. Brennan be granted full legal guardianship and that I be granted reasonable visitation." Whitmore leaned back, studied them all. Then he banged his gavel. "So ordered. Cole Brennan is granted full legal guardianship of Emma Louise Walker. Victor Blackwood is granted visitation rights of 1 day per month, with Mr. Brennan's approval required for any extended stays. The Walker homestead is to be deeded to Emma Walker, with Mr. Brennan as trustee until she reaches majority. And Judge Blackwood will provide annual support of $500. This court is adjourned." The courtroom exploded, people cheering, crying, rushing forward. Cole felt hands on his back, his shoulders, Martha hugging him, Hayes shaking his hand, Dr. Holloway offering quiet congratulations. But Cole only had eyes for Emma. She climbed down from the witness chair, walked toward him, and when she reached him, she said the words he had been waiting to hear. "Papa." Not Mr. Brennan, not Cole. Papa. Cole's vision blurred. He knelt, pulled her into his arms, held his daughter while the courtroom celebrated around them. "I got you," he whispered. "I got you." "I know," she whispered back. "I always knew." Victor approached slowly, uncertain. "May I?" Emma pulled back, looked at her grandfather. Then, making a choice that would heal more than she knew, she reached out her hand. Victor took it, held it like the precious thing it was. "Thank you," he said, voice breaking, "for giving me a chance." "Don't waste it," Emma said. 8 years old and wise as ancients. Mama only got one life. Don't waste the second chance she would have wanted you to have." "I won't. I swear it." They walked out of the courthouse together, Cole, Emma, and Victor. 3 generations. Broken healing, learning to be family. Outside Wyoming, sunshine warmed their faces. Inside, something that had been frozen for 9 years began to thaw. The battle was over. The healing had just begun. 6 months passed like a dream. Spring came to Bear Hollow, melting snow and revealing land that had slept through winter. Cole worked the homestead with hands that remembered how to build rather than drift. He expanded the cabin, adding a proper room for Emma with a door and a window that faced east so she could wake to sunrise. Emma thrived. She attended school in Silver Ridge, riding Rust, the 3 miles each way. Her teachers marveled at her memory, at the way she absorbed knowledge like parched earth absorbed rain. She read everything she could find. History, mathematics, poetry. Each book became part of the library in her mind, perfectly preserved, always accessible. And once a month, Victor came. The first visit was awkward. He arrived with gifts. Too many gifts. Books, dresses, a porcelain doll Emma was too old for. She accepted them politely, but Cole could see her discomfort. This was not what she needed. Victor saw it too. The next month he brought only himself. And this time he asked Emma to show him the homestead. She led him around the property, pointing out where her father had built the barn, where her mother had planted herbs, where she and Cole had started a garden. Victor listened, really listened. And when Emma finished, he rolled up his sleeves. "What needs doing?" he asked. Cole, watching from the porch, saw Emma's surprise, then her cautious smile. "The fence needs mending. Papa always said it did, but he never got to it. Then let's mend it." They worked together that afternoon, grandfather and granddaughter. Hands that had never touched, finding rhythm in shared labor. By evening, the fence stood straight and strong. "Thank you," Emma said as Victor prepared to leave, "for helping, for not just visiting, for being here." Victor's eyes glistened. "This is what I should have been doing all along. Being here, being part of your life, not above it, in it." The visits continued. Each month, Victor came. Sometimes he brought supplies, sometimes just himself. He taught Emma about ranching, about cattle, about the business of running land. She taught him about her world, her studies, her friends at school, the life she was building. And slowly, carefully, something grew between them. Not the relationship they had missed. That was gone, lost to years of pride and stubbornness. But something new, something chosen rather than inherited. Martha became a fixture at the cabin. She taught Emma cooking, sewing, all the skills a frontier girl needed. But more than that, she became the grandmother Emma had never had, the female presence that balanced Cole's rough edges. Dr. Holloway visited monthly, too, checking Emma's health, bringing medicine when Cole or Emma fell ill. He never charged, never mentioned the debt Clara had owed. This was his penance, freely given. Reverend Hayes married Cole and Martha in a small ceremony that following fall. Not a romantic marriage. Both were too old, too set in their ways for that. But a partnership, a joining of households that made practical sense and created more family for Emma. "You don't mind," Cole had asked Emma before proposing. "If Martha comes to live with us, mind Papa. I've been hoping you'd ask her. She makes you smile, makes us all smile, and she knows things Mama would have taught me if she'd lived." So Martha Jenkins became Martha Brennan, and the cabin grew again. More rooms, more life, more proof that families could be built from pieces that didn't originally match. But the most surprising transformation was Victor. The man who had ruled Laramie County through fear and power slowly became someone else. He began ruling through justice instead. Legal cases that previously went his way automatically started going to those with merit. Families who had lost land to suspicious accidents found themselves with mysterious benefactors offering to rebuild. At first, people suspected schemes. Victor Blackwood did not change. Everyone knew that, except he had. "I cannot undo my past," he told Cole one evening, sitting on the porch while Emma did homework inside. "Cannot bring back Daniel or Sarah or all the years I lost with my granddaughter. But I can try to be better going forward, try to be the man my daughter thought I could be, before I proved her wrong." "Emma sees the effort," Cole said. "That matters to her. Does it matter to you?" Cole considered that. This man had been enemy, murderer maybe, if not directly, then through negligence, threat to everything Cole had fought to protect. But watching Victor with Emma, seeing genuine love replace calculated manipulation, witnessing an old man try to earn redemption one visit at a time. "Yeah," Cole said finally, "it matters, because I think you really are trying, and I think that's all any of us can do, try to be better than we were." Victor nodded slowly. "Thank you for giving me the chance, for not poisoning Emma against me. You could have, would have been justified. Emma makes her own choices about people, always has. I just try not to interfere. You're a good father, Cole Brennan, better than I ever was. You're getting there. Give it time." Time moved forward. Seasons changed. Emma grew. On her 9th birthday, Victor arrived with a different kind of gift. Not toys or clothes or books, but a leather satchel containing papers. "What is this?" Emma asked, opening it carefully. "The deed to your land, and something else. A trust fund, $50,000, invested, managed by me until you turn 18. Then it's yours to do with as you wish." Emma stared at the papers, at the number written there. 50,000, it's not enough. Could never be enough to make up for what I took from you, from your mother. But it's what I can give. Your future, secured. Whatever you want to do, wherever you want to go, you'll have resources." "Grandfather," Emma's voice shook, This is too much. It's not nearly enough, but it's a start, a way of saying I'm sorry and I'm proud, and I love you." The words hung in air. Love. The first time Victor had said them. The first time Emma had heard them from him. She set down the papers, crossed to where he sat, and hugged him. Victor's arms came around her, held her like he was afraid she might disappear if he let go. Tears tracked down his weathered face. "I love you too, Grandfather," Emma whispered. I think Mama would be happy. About us. About you trying." "I hope so. I hope she can see this. See that I finally learned what she tried to teach me. That love matters more than pride. That family is not about blood alone. It's about choice, about showing up, about doing the work." Cole watched from the doorway, Martha beside him, both of them seeing something rare. A family knitting itself together from broken pieces. Not perfect, not without scars, but real. Chosen. Earned. That night, after Victor had gone and Emma was asleep in her room, Cole sat with Martha by the fire. 4 years ago, he said quietly, I thought my life was over. Thought I had nothing left to live for after losing Sarah and the baby. Figured I'd just drift until I died. That was my plan, such as it was. Martha took his hand. And now I have a daughter, a wife, a home, a purpose. All because a little girl grabbed my boot in the snow and wouldn't let go. Emma saved you. We saved each other. That's how it works, I think. The best kind of family. Everyone saving everyone else. Victor too. He lost his daughter to pride, found his granddaughter through humility. That's its own kind of salvation. Martha squeezed his hand. You did good, Cole Brennan. Real good. We did good. All of us together. The years continued to pass. Emma turned 10, then 11, then 12. She grew tall, smart, capable. Her memory remained perfect. She could recite entire books, recall every conversation, never forget a face or a name or a moment that mattered. But more importantly, she never forgot kindness. Never forgot who helped when help was needed. Never forgot that family was something you chose as much as something you were born into. She kept her parents' graves tended, placed flowers there every week, spoke to them about her life, her studies, her dreams. And always she told them about Cole, about the man who had become her father, about how he kept his promise. Victor visited faithfully. Every month, without fail, rain or snow or summer heat, he came. And each visit he and Emma grew closer. She learned his business, attended court with him, sometimes watching how law was supposed to work, how justice could be served instead of twisted. When she turned 13, Victor offered her something unexpected. "I'm stepping down as judge," he said. "I've served 30 years. It's time for someone else, someone who hasn't made my mistakes." "Why now?" Emma asked. "Because I want to spend my remaining years being your grandfather, not Judge Blackwood. Just Victor, just family. I've had power, had wealth, had everything except what mattered. Now I have you, and I don't want to waste whatever time I have left. You're not that old, grandfather. I'm 67. 67 years of which I wasted 9 being too proud to know my own granddaughter. I won't waste any more." He kept that promise too. Retirement gave Victor time. He taught Emma everything he knew, business law negotiation. She absorbed it all with that remarkable memory, but she also brought her own wisdom, her own sense of justice that came from having lived on both sides of power. "You'll be something special," Victor told her one day, "something this territory has never seen. A woman who can quote law verbatim, who understands business, who knows what it means to struggle and to be helped when you need it most." "I want to be a lawyer," Emma said. "Like you, but better. Fair." Victor laughed, not offended. Proud. "Better than me won't be difficult. Fair is what matters. And yes, you'll be both." When Emma turned 14, Cole sat her down for a different conversation. "You know you don't have to stay here," he said. "When you're older, when you're ready. Victor's trust fund, the education it can buy. You could go east, study at real schools, become that lawyer you talk about. I know. And I want you to know I won't be hurt, won't feel abandoned. This land, this life, it's good, but it might not be your life. Your path might lead somewhere else." Emma looked at the cabin Cole had built, at the land her parents had died for, at the graves she tended, at the life she had been given through tragedy and transformed through love. "Maybe," she said, "maybe my path does lead somewhere else eventually, but it starts here. It started with you stopping on that trail, with you keeping your promise. Everything good in my life comes from that moment. You would have been fine. You're strong, would have survived. Surviving isn't the same as living. You taught me that. You and Grandfather and Martha. You all taught me that family isn't about surviving together. It's about thriving together, choosing each other every day." Cole's eyes stung. "When did you get so wise?" "I've had good teachers." The day Emma turned 18, the whole county gathered at the Walker homestead. It had become tradition. Emma's birthday was celebrated not just by family, but by everyone whose life she had touched. And there were many. She had become advocate for those who needed help, had learned law from Victor and compassion from Cole and practicality from Martha. When families struggled, Emma found solutions. When injustice happened, Emma fought. She was not yet a lawyer, but she was already what the territory needed. Victor stood before the assembled crowd, old now 73 but still strong, still trying every day to be worthy of his granddaughter's forgiveness. "Emma Louise Walker Brennan," he said formally, "by the terms of the trust established on your 9th birthday, you now have access to the full sum, $78,000 with investment returns. It is yours, to use as you see fit." Emma accepted the papers. Then she did something no one expected. "I'm donating half," she announced, $39,000, to establish a fund for families in crisis, for widows who need help, for children who lose parents, for anyone who finds themselves where Mama and I were, alone, desperate, turned away by everyone." The crowd stirred, murmured. Victor's eyes glistened. "The Walker Fund," Emma continued, "named for my parents, administered by the county, distributed based on need, not on who you know or how much power you have, just need, the way it should be." Cole stood, crossed to his daughter, pulled her into a hug. "Your mama would be so proud," he whispered, "so damn proud." "I hope so. I hope both of them can see this, see that their deaths weren't meaningless, that something good came from it." The party lasted until dark. Food, music, celebration. But as people began to leave, as families headed home and the crowd thinned, 4 people remained on the porch. Cole, Martha, Victor, Emma. 4 generations of broken pieces made whole. Thank you, Victor said into the comfortable silence. All of you, for giving me a second chance, for showing me what family really means. You earned it, Emma said, not with money or power, with time, with showing up, with choosing us every month for 9 years. Best choice I ever made. Only one that really mattered. Martha stood. It's late. Old woman needs her sleep. Cole, coming. As they headed inside, Victor lingered. Emma stayed with him, looking out at the land her father had loved, her mother had defended, and Cole had helped her keep. Grandfather, Emma said quietly, can I ask you something? Anything. Do you think Mama forgave you before she died? Do you think she knew you'd change, that you'd try to be better? Victor was quiet for a long time. I like to think so. I like to think she knew that pride could break, that love could win eventually. But the truth is, I don't know, and I'll never know. That's part of what I carry, the uncertainty, the question I can't answer. I think she knew, Emma said. I think she saw goodness in you, even when you didn't see it yourself. That's why she named me Emma. It means whole or universal. She told me once that she chose it because she wanted me to be complete, not broken by the past, not limited by what came before, just whole. She succeeded. You are whole, despite everything, despite loss and grief and all the ways the world tried to break you. You're whole. Emma leaned against her grandfather's shoulder. We all are. You, me, Cole, Martha. We're all whole because we chose each other, because we did the work. Yes, we did. They sat in comfortable silence as stars emerged overhead, the same stars that had watched Clara die, the same stars that had witnessed Cole's promise, the same stars that would shine long after all of them were gone. But for now, in this moment under Wyoming sky, a family sat together, not perfect, not without scars, but together, chosen, loved, whole.